Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of the Women of BSV. We are Ruth and myself today, and we are joined by Maysem Rezaei, who is the co-founder and product manager for Omegachain, Bitails.net, and Upfile.space. And welcome to the show, Maysem. I'm so
Thank you
glad you
for
came
having me.
today.
Thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself, tell us your journey into Bitcoin and how you came to be the co-founder of Omegachain and everything else that you're doing in the
Sure.
space.
Of course. You introduced me. I am the product manager of Bitails, Omegachain, and Upfile at the moment. And I think it was 2014 that I read about Bitcoin. And to be honest, I wasn't one of those people who, when heard about Bitcoin, just realized it and said, okay, what a good idea. No, I took my time, and it took around 1 or 2 years to understand completely what Bitcoin is, because I was interested in Bitcoin because I had a background of banking systems. I've been working in banking system for plus 10 years, I guess. And I started reading about Bitcoin, understanding what it does. And in 2015, late 2015, I guess, as I remember, I started to play with the technical side of Bitcoin, to understand the protocol, to see how it works, and to try to come up with some ideas. At first, I wasn't successful, to be honest, because still there was a huge lack of knowledge regarding Bitcoin. But in 2017, I got with some friends, we got together, and they were really actually good developers. They were good, I can say, good programmers and scientists, and they helped me to understand Bitcoin in a better way. And we tried to come up with a product, which was, the name was Koalament. The reason that I didn't mention Koalament at the beginning was that we haven't been working on Koalament for 2 years. Basically, Koalament was a common system on BSV blockchain. We came up with that idea, which the idea was to help anyone to comment on any URL on the web.
Oh, okay.
Regardless of that URL having a comment section or not. For example, even right now, the Koalament is working. The idea was really, really nice, but it didn't go through because we had some problems. We didn't have enough, front-end developers, these kind of things. But I think in 2020, as I recall, in 2020, we started to work on some idea to bring up some actually API type of things. We started to do some research about it to see how we can actually provide such service, and to see if the community or the space actually needs such service. And at that moment, it wasn't clear to us. We just went the other direction. We continued with our, actually, another startup, which is not related to the Bitcoin at all. It was a kind of music type of product. And after a while, we came back, we started Upfile, we started to started building Bitails, and that was basically when we got all in the Bitcoin and BSV space. That was the whole.
So I'm going to say, imagine I'm 5 years old and explain Bitails to me, okay? Because I need a really simple explanation. I'm looking at it and remembering unwriters like Bitbus and things like that, and thinking maybe it's got some similarities.
Somehow, yes.
But you explain it to us, because I'd make a hash of it if I tried.
Basically, Bitails is a BSV archive. It's a database which holds all the information of this BSV blockchain. Also, it is an indexer, which means it not only archives the BSV data, but also indexes the data in a way that is accessible in a more application-friendly format. Why? Because the blockchain itself it has some characteristics, but being actually application friendly is not one of them. Okay. And as you see, it is not new in concept. We have a lot of API type of things. We have a lot of indexers, I don't know, archives in Ethereum, in, I don't know, Tron, different type of networks. We see the same idea. But the execution of Bitails is a little bit different. No, that actually makes it the product that it is today. Bitails is designed to have some, let's say, characteristics. The first one is to scale as BSV grows. When you go to the website, you see that we said if you are having problems with big blocks, we got you covered. I think it basically says, mentions that what kind of problems that we are trying to solve. BSV blockchain is getting bigger and bigger, and that is a problem for every application. Okay, so if you probably have heard that Blockshare, Coinomi, these kind of products that are not
BSV, yeah,
they are dropping BSV, and they're simply saying that okay, we cannot afford running a node. Why they cannot afford running a node? Because they are not totally invested in BSV. They are supporting many coins. They are getting support from Ethereum, BTC, all those coins. They have lots of money, and they say, okay, why would I spend a lot of money to support BSV? And the BSV community has its own wallet, has its own explorer, and the BSV community is actually one of the communities that doesn't need any actually external tools or services, because we have enough wallets, we have enough explorers, and that's actually makes us rich in this area. Okay, so they're dropping because they don't care. But even if you have an application and you do care about BSV, it costs to run a BSV node. That is where actually Bitails comes in hand. Okay, how we got to this idea. Let me go a little bit back and say a little bit about how we actually built upon this idea that Bitails is really important for the community and for us. 2 years ago, actually, when we were building some projects, as I said, like Koalament, we actually learned that we would face so many problems if we didn't want to run a listener node. And when we started to run a listener node, it was obvious that this cannot be a permanent solution.
Now I'm going to stop you there. Explain to me what a listener node is, because I don't think I fully get it.
Actually, based on Craig's actually talk, I try to avoid saying full node, I don't know, a BSV node or something like that. But actually, a listener node is a kind of BSV software node that doesn't mine, that doesn't have the hash power to mine. So it listens to the network, it gets all the transactions, it also broadcasts all the transactions, verifies them. But when we say verifying, it means that if for example, a transaction is invalid, I have to reject that, and if it is valid, I have to work on that block. But when since we don't have the hash power, so we cannot do that. We are not miners. We are just listening to the network. That is why I try to use the listener node. Yeah. And when we started to run a listener node, as I said, it was obvious that it is not going to be a permanent solution. Also, we realized that although we are doing a great job at BSV actually software itself, BSV software can scale, I think right now to 100,000 transactions per second, TPS. But we are not doing a great job at actually scaling and at application layer. And by application layer, I mean the layer that applications need to connect to. For example, to Edge, I don't know, every application needs to connect to an application-friendly actually API or actually gateway. Okay, that was one of the things that made me see a market demand. And then I started talking to the team and convincing them to jump on this opportunity, since we had the experience of working with the system that involves billions of records that are connected at some levels. As I said, the application that was for the music industry, it has billions of entities, records that they're connected. For example, a singer, a song, a users like, dislike, playlist, all these things are connected, and we have to serve the data to the user, to the application. And that actually created some experience with this type of actually databases. And when I mentioned that, when I actually tried to convince the team, our core developer, his name is Mohammed, and he was on the same page with me. So that was the start of Bitails. It took around 3 months of researching different technologies to design the system horizontally to scale as BSV grows. And if you're wondering what is a horizontal structure, basically it means when needed, we can add more instances, but the system works as one. You see, for example, we have 10 instances of actually a server. More data comes in, we need more actually infrastructure, we add another instance, but the system is still working as a whole.
Like
and as
a bit like Terranode, it's sort of parallelization. I can't say that.
Yes, exactly. You can add node as you need. For example, right now we have 1.3 billion transactions. If it goes to 10 billion, if it goes to 100 billion, we have to just add more instances. For example, Netflix is doing actually having the same infrastructure. Lots of these huge companies that are providing services worldwide, they are actually using the same horizontal structure for their services. And that was mainly what Bitails, why Bitails got started at the beginning, and how Bitails, I'm not going to say is different, but how Bitails is seeing actually the future of actually BSV blockchain and how it can help the community and all the projects on BSV.
So is connecting to the Bitcoin SV database or blockchain as a service?
Yes, we in our structure we have a listener node. We get the data. We put the data in in our desired structure, which help us to actually provide a more efficient and more flexible data to the applications. When our listener node sees a transaction or sees a block or any event, it passes to us, and we get that. We put that in different in different parts of our actually system, and based on the API, based on the method that we have described, anyone who needs the data, anyone who requires some information, we try to provide it to them, and we design Bitails in a way that it provides more information than the node itself. For example, even if you are a service, let's say you have the money, let's say you are actually running your own listener node, still you cannot get what Bitails can provide. I give you an example. For example, if you are retrieving a transaction from Bitails, if the outputs of that transaction, please tell me if I'm getting too technical.
No, it's fine.
If the outputs of or the UTX of that transaction are already spent, we are going to provide the next transaction that the output was spent to. It's really, really helpful for applications who are looking. For example, let's say if you have a UTXO based actually a smart contract, the script thing, the stateful contracts, it really, really decreases the cost of actually development, the cost of computation, the time of getting to the data for a client or application that is trying to get to the latest state of a smart contract. That is the mentality behind Bitails. We are trying, one thing that we are doing, every feature that we are trying to build, we think about how this is going to decrease the cost on the application and client side.
And I want the detail of it because I'm really fascinated, right? So what is happening that's different from when an application has to query the blockchain in the normal way by going to the nodes, the miners? Have you got it all indexed somehow, tagged, or is it just the fact that you can serve it up faster? What is the fundamental sort of difference in what's happening?
Actually, if you go to our documentation, you see we have different databases. For example, one of them is Postgres, one of them is Scylla, the other one is Ceph, different. And we had a reason for each of them. There are different technologies. They have different type of databases. The thing is, when we get the data, we put them in different databases based on the need, based on the, as I said, mentality that we are thinking, okay, later how I'm going to serve this data. After all, we are not just storing the data to be happy. We are storing the data to provide the service to a client. We are thinking that what the client needs. Okay, and to do that, we restructure the data. For example, we put the UTXOs in one database, we put the TX itself in another, we put the data in another database, and this is how we can serve the data in the fastest possible way to the user, and do the indexing and fetch the data, get to the data, and pass it to the user easily. With the node, you only have the RPC, you can do the REST API, these kind of things, but it still is not that application friendly. It's really important to.
So you can kind of request the data by the type of data that you're looking for. So you want to know what the last unspent transaction output is, or you want to know, find this, JPEG for me.
Actually, you can do the search. We can do the searching. For example, if you are doing the search, you have to actually give us the keyword. For example, it can be the transaction ID. It can be, for example, if the hash of the picture in the OP return. It can be a simple word. Hi, how are you? I don't know. A code, whatever that is in a transaction.
Different parts of the transaction.
That is one of the things that, for example, for that one we are using Elasticsearch. It's a type of actually technology, and that's easily possible. And I think in next couple of days we are going to add Chinese. It was a request from one of the actually users in the Telegram group, and he said you should support that, and we realized that we have I think lots of applications, and we have an active community in China, so we put that in our actually sprints, and I think tomorrow or the day after that we are going to add Chinese search as well.
Wow.
Oh, sweet. Excellent. So there is a system architecture diagram. Can I share that?
Yeah.
And by the way, if you click on that, it goes to the Upfile.space, and that picture is stored on stored by Upfile on the blockchain and retrieved by the CDN.
All right.
If you click on the picture, it goes to actually the real transaction.
What's the CDN?
It's a type of service that actually serves you the data. CDN is an old concept. For example, I don't know. For example, let's say Netflix have different CDNs around the world. For example, in Asia, Europe, when a request comes from Europe, it provides a service from a CDN from Europe. Different services and instances around the world.
Excellent.
And
so
this is it.
We've got the Bitcoin node, which at the top, which is BSV blockchain itself. This grey box down the middle, the grey rectangle with all the data and DRM master and slave in it.
That's our broker and main application.
Machines.
Main application. It connects to at the right. It connects to the databases. At the left, it's providing the API. And this is the whole. The whole picture is our infrastructure, regardless of the firewall and the internet part. The whole thing is the Bitails.
Right, and you've got the API gateway, which is
Yeah.
Is that how the apps connect to you?
Yeah, exactly. The apps connect through the API, and the API sends the request to the API service, and that API service either connects to the database or does some other job, and the whole thing, different services are working smoothly together to provide the service that you are seeing on the Bitails. And if you see a little icon on the bottom and left of each of those actually logos, that means that part can be actually that part can be we can add more instances
Parallelized.
yeah, exactly.
Very
And
cool.
we actually tried to publish this just without maybe it helps somebody. Normally people don't do that, but we try to be to put all the details there, and maybe somebody wanted to get some idea out of it and build a project themselves. That was somehow we tried to be open to the community as well.
It's definitely easier for a non-tech. Well, yeah, I am a bit technical, but not as technical as you. But it's certainly easier for me to understand, to see the diagram, how this actually works in effect. So that's cool.
Script hash owner. Tell me what that is.
Oh, okay. Maybe let's talk about the owner concept. The owner, it's actually a user. As I said, with Bitails, we try to think as a client, because we had some products, we had some projects, and we are used to think as that. So we created a new concept which we named owner, but you can call it, you can say it's a user. We have a service and we have an owner. Let's put in an example. For example, the service could be an exchange.
Mm-hmm.
The owner could be a user, and this owner can actually bind different addresses to itself. How?
That's what I wanted. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
And
you can now count all of your transactions.
Exactly. And what is the benefit of that? The benefit is that, for example, for the exchange, you see that using only one address, they're using only one address for every user, these kind of things. The privacy goes down the hill. This way, they can assign different addresses to a user. And the interesting part is that they can retrieve the information in only one request. That is the important part. The exchange can put the addresses in their database as well. It's not a big deal. But the important thing is that they can retrieve the data, the unspent, the history, all the information regarding all those addresses in only one request. Imagine if there is an IoT device which doesn't have that much resources.
Mm-hmm.
The bandwidth, the CPU, the memory, or all these things.
Fine.
That is the benefit for different. I think it enables different use cases for, let's say, small devices like an IoT device, or even big corporation like some exchanges. This is what we were thinking about putting the owner and these kind of things in the detail.
So, it's absolutely fabulous, and it's such an important part of the infrastructure for Bitcoin users and developers. I think it's amazing that you exist now. But we need to make sure you don't run out of money. I notice on the website you've very kindly offering the service for free at the minute. How are you going to get some big customers and cover your costs that way?
That's the thing, you definitely know that running such actually service is relatively costly. Okay, but we try to minimize our cost, by actually outsourcing some of the actually, for example, DevOps jobs. We found a great team. They are not part of our team, but they're good friends that we are working with them. They're doing a great job on that part. And because mainly the people who are doing the main job are the founders, and that decreases the cost of actually maintaining this service. This one part, but still it's relatively costly. So we definitely are going to add a business model and business plan to this project, to Bitails. But because we are all technical people, By the way, our team includes actually 2 girls and 3 guys. I just wanted to tell you, after this show, I'm going to encourage those 2 girls to come to the show. I didn't want to
Yeah,
spoil
no,
it
you
for
should.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will do that. Exactly. And we are going to add a business model to Bitails, but we try to add professional. We realize that we are not the best actually people to decide. So we are getting help from some professional team, and they are actually doing some research. And I think in less than 2 months, they will come up with a business model and business plan, and we are going to execute that. But as you go to the website, and as you can see, there's a promise on the website. We say we are not going to charge actually an individual or a small startup who cannot pay for the service. As long as I am there, as long as Peter is running, we are not going to do that. We are not going to actually put some limits. For example, I don't know, you have to do 3 TPS per second or these kind of things. But when they can make money, they can actually create something out of using Bitails and their idea. That is when we are going to talk, and that is when we are going to actually get some share out of their profit. But as we see it, lots of big companies can use Bitails. In my country right now, I think around 30 or 35 exchanges are available. I am an active person in my community. I'm trying to add BSV to those exchanges. This is a huge market for Peters in my country, and in the rest of the world. I have contacted some actually businesses. I'm not going to name them because maybe they wouldn't like that, but some businesses who are not in the BSV community, and the communication is going forward. And some people even in the BSV community right now we are talking, and probably I'm positive that we are going into the business with them. Why? Because I believe that we are solving some problems, and we are
Absolutely.
providing some services that either are not out there, nobody is writing, or even if they do, there are not that many people.
And I looked at the code, and it's beautifully simple as well in the documentation. It's not like,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not a coder,
That's
but
all
like
me. That's all me. I
surely I
spent, I
could.
think,
Yeah.
I think 4 days and nights. I think I slept 10 hours in total in 4 days to actually bring up the documentation, because we won the actually Phoenix challenge, and lots of people were coming to the website, and our previous documentation wasn't that good. So to be honest,
So if you show
so
it, pull it up on your screen, because I think it's worth celebrating how great your documentation is.
thank you very much.
And I especially like the try it now button, because it gives you the exact
Yeah,
output
yeah,
of the
that
request
was.
and lets you see what
I,
it does. And there's no kind of substitute for that kind of show me, don't tell me.
Yeah.
So this is it, and it's really lovely. You just click down here, and we get all the different sort of facets of what it can do. I like how you call it swagger.
Yeah, I like Swagger as well.
That's cool.
I would say Swagger. A Swagger
So
is
you can
available
be a
to both
small
main
business and have your swagger, and do things, that bigger businesses can do.
Yeah. And
So,
I put the open source code at the at the down there bottom left. If anyone is interested to actually having a documentation like this, they can go and they can download the open source project, and they build something themselves.
oh, that's wonderful. So they
Yeah.
can kind of learn from your architecture. And
Actually, it's not the whole documentation is not our product. No, I think it's Slate or something like that. I don't remember, but I put the link there. Anyone who is interested, they can actually go. If they need to make some documentation about their products, they can use this documentation. It's wonderful. It's
I
easy
think
to
its way
edit,
of
and
displaying it,
yeah,
the kind of
yeah.
FAQ where it opens up like this. No, I think it's wonderful. Yeah, I thought that was super great. And so we've got here, I don't know whether you can read it because it's going to be small on people's screens, but this says get unspent of script hash. Now, the reason why I asked you what script hash owner was, because I wasn't totally sure, but I imagined it was like basically the user. So Like, let's say it was Twitch, for instance. Is that fair? Then, they can basically request just transactions that pertain to their service.
Yeah, exactly. And the script hash is basically the hash of the script of the transaction. The script hash is that, it's a pointer. You can use it to find some information on the blockchain, like address, like TX ID or anything else.
Right. So we can get balance of script hash, get history of script hash.
Yeah.
And with all of these, there's it's one line for a start, which I think is fantastic. And like I say, even I could manage that. Yes, the above command returns JSON structures structured like this. So that presumably is it all kind of expanded out.
Yeah.
And if we click on, sorry, you go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I just wanted to, about the history. I just remembered one thing. One of the powerful thing about Bitails is that we store up to 2 billion history for each address or script hash.
Good God.
I think that nobody else is doing that.
No,
and the 2 billion number. Somebody asked us, why 2 billion? Why not more? I said, okay, I think we are going to be okay for a couple of years, and after that, the technology is actually not letting us to do that. But after a couple of years, if we know some workaround, but that is a huge actually feature. I think that's really helpful for so many products.
But I thought this is really, really well written. I really appreciate good documentation, because for noobs, which, let's face it, when we're talking about blockchain, most of us are, it's got to be really simple.
We can't risk losing users. When they come into our website, they have to understand what we do. And to be fair, API and these kind of things are a bit technical. And what we are trying to do, one of the things that we always think about is how we can make it easier for people to develop on BSV. Every presentation that you see from the icons in this space, they say we need more transactions. And we, as a team who is totally involved in BSV, who dedicated its resources to BSV, we think that we have to make sure that anyone who has some ideas, for example, if you're an accountant, you have some ideas, you have to come to our website. You have to understand how you can actually build something, some MVPs, minimum viable products. This is basically the mentality that actually drives us to do things, to make things simple.
Absolutely. I mean, we're right down to get block by height, get latest block, get transactions of block. I mean, it's really broad and deep, isn't it? That's the thing. Like, this is just an incredible tool you've made.
Thank you. And again, I should add that for the sake of efficiency, for example, if you go to the block part, if you are calling it actually block by block hash or something like that, we are providing you with more information. For example, which transactions of this block has actually data in it.
Yeah.
So if you are a product who is looking for transaction with data and you are calling a block, you don't need to go through all the actually transactions. You only retrieve the data that you require, and that is really, that makes it really efficient on the client side. It's really important, and I'm trying to emphasize on this to let you know how important this is.
No, I really do get it, because the blockchain itself is this very, very efficient data structure. It doesn't really lend itself to being served up quickly or efficiently, I guess. So sort of middle services like this is going to make everything easier, faster, easier to develop. More efficient, less frightening, frankly, less off-putting.
Oh, sorry. I was just the same with the download transaction output as well, because it's like you've separated out so you don't have to download every single aspect of it.
And one other thing about this download thing that you mentioned is that when you, in our service, when you, for example, request a actually transaction with 200 megabytes of data, for example, the file that you receive is 200 megabytes.
Yeah.
In some services, when you request a file with 200 megabytes of data, what you receive is 400. Why? Because they're actually serving you in hex. That is one of the things that somebody told me actually, if you do it in hex, it's better. And I said, no, it's not better, because it's you have to actually download double in size.
Yeah,
that's not
which is
not
too
going to work.
data heavy, isn't it? For you're downloading information that you don't actually want or need.
Yeah.
So
and these details are important,
Okay. So you're serving it as sort of plain text then?
No, we are saving it in binary. You get it, you do whatever you want.
Right.
We don't care. To be honest, we don't care what actually you want to do with the data. We just try to actually get it to you, or actually serve it to you in the fastest and more efficient way.
You get exactly what you're asking for, not every
Yeah.
all the extras and everything that you really
no playing
don't.
around. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no sugarcoating. It's just the exact information.
Just tell me what you want, I give it to you.
Yeah.
No, this is fantastic. Well, that's amazing, and I don't think we could spend too long on that, honestly, because it's really revolutionary and really important, and we've got to try and support you however we can to make sure that you continue to exist and grow. So I think that's great, and I think everybody should go and donate a little something if they can. But let's just really quickly cover a couple of your other websites you've done. I know they're not as built out as this, so by comparison, they probably are not as interesting. But we'll give them a couple of minutes because I find it fascinating. So this is Upfile, which is understandably a little bit sparse in terms of it's not as pretty to look at as Bitails.
Well, is Upfile using all of the Bitails script to actually? It is, yeah. So you've built it around that Bitails script.
Actually, in 3 days. In 3 days, Upfile. This is the beta, the beta version. But in 3 days, or let's say 1 week. I don't want to actually. Maybe something happens. In less than 1 week, we are going to release the version 1 of Upfile, which is completely on Bitails. Is using Bitails on all the layers, and the design is completely different. It's not remotely close to what you are seeing right now.
Oh, right. We'll have to recover it once it's on.
That would be great. And the goal of Upfile is following 2 goals. The one is actually simplicity, and the other one is the privacy. The simplicity part is that, for example, if you want to put some file on the blockchain, we don't know why, we don't know the reason, but if you do, and maybe it's private or whatever else, you can do it in an encrypted format, but in a simple way. A normal user can do that, as long as they keep the key that we generate on the client side, or they generate themselves, or they know already from somewhere. They can access to their files. This is the one. And the other one is that all the execution and all the actions happens on the client side. Nothing's come to our yes. That is the interesting part.
You see,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, go on. Well, I was just going to. For me, these kind of sites are really useful for sort of research purposes, for uploading the files that you really want to, and documentation that you're using to research on a specific subject, so that you can keep them all in one place when and as you need them. One thing I would say though is what is the actual to go and then search for all those files that you've uploaded? How simple is that for a non-technical user?
Okay. There's two ways. One, you can keep the transaction. We will give you in the new version. We will give you a file. You can export the file. All the information is there. The transaction ID. And the other one, the interesting part is that uploading file comes with some metadata.
Okay.
For example, you can encrypt the data, and you can put some description or metadata and say, this is this file, I'm going to do this. I don't know, even in encoded format. Nobody understands it.
Well,
but
I
you know
actually
it.
uploaded a picture and I put a caption on it. So is that the
Okay.
kind of thing you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. For example, let's give it a use case. You can encrypt that data. You can put some description or some metadata and say this data is this, and that, and you sell the key to somebody who actually needs data, something like that. You can use this service as actually a backbone to provide things on your end. And to do that, we are releasing Upfile as a package as well, npm package, JavaScript npm package as well. So you don't even need to use our service. You go download the package, and all the things is happening on your site. You put the data on the blockchain. You can use our CDN, or even you can use your own CDN, which our code is open source. You can use our code and run your own CDN, and all the things happen on your site. This is the power of Upfile. We put it there as a service for noobs or for the people who are not that technical. But the main power comes from, for example, for Didi, or for anyone who has a hand on the code. The main power is that they can do all the things on their side in the simplest way, and with the combination, for example, with a wallet like Handcash as a handler, or do it from the scratch. They are not actually forced to use some specific
Yes,
wallet, or
I could use any wallet I wanted.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Those are the things that we try to actually. We didn't want to limit people that you have to use Handcash. I don't know. You have to use money button or something like that, because to be honest, that decreases the privacy. That's one part. And I myself designed the Upfile, and I try to keep it actually a private one, which has high private, keeps the user's privacy actually in the higher priority.
Is there going to be, like, because I've uploaded a JPEG, are you going to make it so that I could then view the JPEG later if I wanted to? Is there going to be any of that sort of side of things?
Yeah, you can do that. You can actually when the new version comes around, you can actually even put the CDN link on, for example, in an HTML code, and as you can serve the data through the CDN, and don't even have it on your actual server. You can do that.
Wonderful.
You can download it.
This would be fantastic for legal documents and things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also it is not going to happen in this version, but in the next version we are going to add actually timestamp and verification as well.
Okay.
The proof of existence, these kind of things, we already designed it. The actually backbone and the backend is already there. It just requires some actually front-end coding, which is not that heavy, I guess. And we are going to, after the version 1, we are going to actually do an update, and you can have some timestamping documents, files, anything you want, and later proving that document exists somewhere on the blockchain, and what time, who is the issuer address, this kind of thing, this kind of actually UX.
Presumably, it would be really great for anyone who wants to apply for a patent as well.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you,
put the hash on the blockchain, put the hash of the data on the blockchain, and just keep the data with yourself, or even encrypt it, or whatever you want, whatever fits you. But later you can actually claim that I was the owner of the data, because as you can see, I put the data on a public blockchain at this time, for example.
I mean, I can't help but think it's probably going to be the biggest use of the blockchain in the end. Is the timestamp element of it. So any tools that help with that, I think, are going to be really, really popular. So at the moment, because I've uploaded this picture, but I don't think I've got an obvious way of turning it back into a JPEG, have I?
You can download the file. You can go to the download part, and use the TXID. Use the TXID, go to the download, and just put it there. And open the file.
Don't need to decrypt, do I? So
no, you don't need that. All these things are solved in our new version. No, this is just it.
Just double click and open that.
Did it happen? I thought there was a problem.
Okay. Oh, no, fantastic! No. So this is your dog with some steampunk. Okay.
Yeah. Nice steampunkified by Midjourney. Anyway, so yeah. So that's all great. That's really terrific. That worked nicely. And we've talked a little bit about Koalament, which I thought was a great idea, but you say it's not. You're not necessarily going to continue working on that. You're concentrating on Upfile and Bitails.
Actually, I personally really like Koalament, and we are going to get back to that. But we are actually 6 people, and we have to prioritize our work.
Yeah.
But Koalament is really a helpful tool. It has 3 main goals. It actually followed 3 main goals. One was actually to monetize commenting, to encourage people to actually comment in a more with higher quality comments. That was the main thing. The other goal was to reducing spam and also providing the freedom of speech. For example, if you have seen a lot of YouTube pages, I think Ryan page was one of those that the commenting was off. One of the reasons for that is that probably Ryan didn't think that the amount of comments were helpful or people were communicating correctly. But imagine if somebody who is, a director, a movie, director, or anyone important in the space, he or she has a place and he specifies that, for example, you can talk to me, you can comment on my content and communicate with me when you pay, for example, $100 or something like that. It decreases the actually spam massively.
Yeah.
I, as a person who actually love to talk, for example, to somebody that I admire, I am willing to pay the money, and I know that I can. He's going or she's going to see what I said, and she or he is probably going to respond because, they
can see that you value them and that you value their time. So therefore, they're going to give you a little bit more of appreciation towards the fact that you actually really do want to help. Yeah. I mean, anything for me, anything that is spam prevention is a wonderful thing. I get inundated with spam like every day. I mean, 1,500 plus emails, spam emails. You get people, like you say, you get people even on our YouTube. You can, there are certain, when it gets traders and it's like trading bots and things like that, it's like it does get a little bit too much. So it's good to be able to filter those out in a way, as I said, that actually is helping the creator or the person whose page it actually is as well.
Yeah, that was the whole main idea behind the Koalament. Go ahead. Sorry.
I like this. Note that the reason for paying almost twice for clapping or thrice for booing a comment is to prevent users from promoting low-quality comments or suppressing a valuable one. I think that's really, really good.
You really get a better indication as to what your audience actually appreciates and what they actually want and understand as well in that respect. Because, like if you just see a thumbs down, it's a thumbs down. You don't understand why it's a thumbs down. There's no explanation for that, So, and the same with, I like it, but it'd be nice to sort of understand what specifically it is that people like about something, you know.
And
The
funny thing is that when you see that this, as Ruth said, disliking costs a little bit more, because I myself realized that, for example, if you see a post with 10 likes and 10 dislikes, you probably see that post as a negative, you know. The feeling is negative, you know. So that I try to make it not harder but cost more to actually put some negative thought on some idea, whatever it is, you know, to actually make it a little bit more fair in eyes of the users, you know. That was
just thinking twice about casting negativity on people. And, you know, if you are going to do that, okay, well, you can give me something beneficial towards the negativity that you're posting in my direction.
Think twice.
Exactly.
I mean, it's the kind of thing I'd love to add to the Women of BSV website, but I think that aspect is not quite ready yet. Is that right? It's
yeah. But right now we only have the extension. You know, you can use the extension. I'm not sure that right now the extension works because I haven't checked it for months, but normally it works. You know, but the extension is working, and you can use that and go on any URL. For example, even on a blocked Twitter account or Reddit or whatever.
Wow,
and
really?
whoever comes to that actually URL, because it uses a key value method, you know, we use the URL as the key and the comment as the content. We just actually show it to you, and all the actions regarding that actually key, you know. For example, you're liking, you're replying, you're disliking, or whatever you do, we're just trying to show it to you through an extension, you know. That is basically the idea for the extension. But the other parts, for example, the embedded actually commenting, or the other one that you would see all the comments in a waterfall way, they are not developed yet.
Yeah. Oh, definitely finish this because it's wonderful. I'm you know, just allocating your time for you there. No, but like, yeah, I think it's a terrific idea. So I've installed the extension, but I haven't actually seen how it looks yet. Is there a way to see it in operation?
Yeah, actually, you can download the extension, and after that, you can see it. You know, you can see it pops. You know, if something comes down, and you can see a column on the right of your browser, and you can see all the comments. For example, if you go to the Koalament.io, and open the extension, you can see all the comments.
So the idea is that you can only see the comments if you have the extension installed. Is that right?
Right now, yes. You can crawl the network. For example, even the protocol actually is there. You can crawl the network. You can see how we are putting the data on the blockchain, and you can do it yourself, even with your UI. You know, because it's public data on the blockchain. That is the way. But right now, the extension is the only way. But later, the plan was you could see it through the embedded. For example, some line of actually HTML code. You put it on your website, and the body of your website, and you would have a box, and all the comments would be there. You know, that was the idea. Cool. But we didn't go through it.
Because I mean, comment box is quite a difficult service, isn't it, to provide embedded into an existing website? So I mean, it would be a really useful tool for people.
Yeah, actually, we have some actually let's say centralized actually solutions. For example, Discuss and Facebook Embedded are two of them. But monetized, actually blockchain based, that cannot be tampered would be a good solution too. Because right now the manipulation of comments is an issue.
And they've got AIs that are blocking them from being posted. All sorts of shenanigans going on. Downvotes being removed from videos,
and I think I read somewhere that Amazon is having the same actually problem too. You know, I've read an article about it, but it was 2 years ago. But there is an issue. That was the reason that they tried to design it in a way that nobody can tamper with it. And
fantastic.
These characteristics,
All these things are so important, and never more so than now, I think.
Well, this is all the plumbing, isn't it? That people keep going on about. Really, these are the things that people actually really do need for the websites, but they don't think about until maybe 6 or 7 months down the line of the website being live and people using it. But actually, you're thinking about this several steps before things are actually implemented.
To be honest, it was really hard for us to stay on the path. With all the, I don't know. I'm not saying those things are bad. With the NFTs on the metaverse, with Ethereum, and all the money there, to be honest, easily we could, with the team that we had, we could short term we could make some money, but that never was our plan, because we already have a successful startup which is actually working properly, and that is helping us to provide such service like Bitails. We are not getting fund from anyone right now. We're providing this service ourselves, and as I talked days ago with somebody, we are actually, even with no revenue, we can actually handle Bitails costs for 2 years. This is how we are designing to provide service. We are trying to act as professionals who believe in long-term actually benefit. We are not just here to get some benefit, you get some profit and get out. That's
I always say it, but it's true. The best people are in BSV. They are just fabulous, wonderful people. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Passionate, talented, clever, and kind. You don't get better than that. So, well, that's absolutely terrific. Do we have any more questions we'd like to ask Maysem?
I think you've covered most of the kind of things that people would want to know. I mean, like, I'm sat here in awe because I'm still learning about a lot of the technical things, but I think you came across with a lot of questions that because obviously from somebody who's building a website and using the information that's provided as well, you kind of see, the questions come from there, really. So I really don't, to be fair, myself, and that probably sounds like a cop-out, but no, I think you've explained it really well in layman's terms, so that it's understandable as well, which is great. Thank you so much.
And it is quite a high-level concept, let's be honest. It's not
really high level. I'm like,
and I'm the product manager. I'm not that much technical too.
Well, anyway, we're deeply impressed, not just by your product, the service, and all the other things you're working on, but by your moral stance and your outlook and generosity. So thank you. I really hope that this becomes a huge business. And like, if you were serving up the likes of Coinbase or something, you could get big very fast. In fact, couldn't you? So. Assuming they're still in business this time next year.
I suppose the only thing I would say is, because obviously everybody uses these things, are you going to kind of lump it, like, the Upfile, is that going to be lumped into like a kind of easy app that you could use it, or if you have to go to the
you mean for Bitails or?
Well, for me, for Upfiles, because I know that I would probably use that, because it's
okay. Actually, the Upfile thing is, we are, let's say we try to make it a responsive, a good responsive website, but later we are going to release the PWA as well, for example, for iPhone devices.
What's that stand for? Sorry, PWA?
Yeah, it's basically for somehow, if you want to bypass the App Store, if you don't want to go through the process of Apple, approving your application, this kind of things. If you are not a wallet, if you are not doing some financial thing, you can go PWA. It's easier. It's somehow a web version of a service that acts like an application.
Like an app,
yeah, these kind of things. We are going to do that as well, but we try to make it actually user friendly on the mobile phone as well. And we have planned to add. For example, if you want to even record your voice or take a picture and put it directly on the blockchain, these kind of things are on the way too, but they are for the later releases. But let's say in a week when we release Upfile, let's try it and see how we can improve Upfile from that actually level, because the thing that you're seeing right now, the concept is good. Having the metadata and data separated, having one of them encrypted, the other one in a plain text, that is a powerful tool. Having the package on the npm, these things are good, but the UI or the UX which is on the Upfile.space right now is not that thrilling. So let's say in 1 week I don't know, get in touch in text or email.
Oh, please do. Yeah, we'll promote the shit out of that.
And I really appreciate all the products that I mentioned. I really appreciate anyone who's hearing this. If you have any suggestion, comment, I don't know, criticism, anything you have in mind, even you want to say hi, we're fairly friendly guys, we can talk, we can have, I don't know, online meetings, chat in Telegram, come into the Telegram group, Bitails Telegram group. We can do things. Let's talk about Bitails. Let's talk about Upfile. Let's use these services. The main thing that we need at the end of the documentation, I wrote something. I wrote that the Bitails make sense only if users use that. If we provide a service but nobody use that, and we don't know why. If somebody says I'm not going to use the service because of this, that would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But at some case, if we see that people don't use that and we don't find any reason, that would be disappointing. And I don't want to see that day. So just come to us and talk to us and see how things go further.
Fantastic.
So where's the best place for people to contact you? Because you've got obviously you've got Omegachain, you've got
you can go to the Bitails. The Telegram group is linked there. And the email is available. I am on the group. You can search my name. You can find me. You can DM me. You can actually call me on the group, whatever you like. And most of the time I'm available unless I am asleep, which is 4 or 5 hours a day. It's not that much.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. So that is docs. Actually, it's bitails.net, and then you would go
from there. You can go to the documentation. Yeah.
And go to contact info, and there's an email, a Twitter, a Telegram group as well in there. So fantastic.
That's absolutely wonderful, Maysem. We're deeply impressed. We'd love to see the
Thank you very much.
proofed up version of Upfile, and can't wait to see what else you come up with. But I really think this is really important stuff, which is why we kind of went through it in some detail.
Very, very, very informative. And please get your ladies to get in touch with us, because we'd love to have some more ladies
to interview them too. Yeah, definitely.
I will do that, and thank you very much. I really appreciate this. Being acknowledged by the community is really helpful to us. I really appreciate that you giving me this time to talk about the actually products that I'm working on and doing it this professionally, going to the details, getting out the important part of the product, which some of them I even didn't remember. That was really wonderful. Thank you both, and I hope to talk to you soon. And
I might be trying to hit you up to help me connect up to the website that I'm working on at the minute. I need to do some deep thought with that. But so it's very exciting stuff. Thank you for coming on the show, and we will be in touch soon.
Yep, thank you for educating us and our audience as well. And if you did like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
See you soon.